Hi, I'm Nikki Carroll with Anamkara Press,
Hi, I'm Amber Freely, also with Anam Cara Press.
and we're here today to talk about a dose of divergence.
Yes,
And now for something completely different,
we're we're here to talk about writing. Lots of things. Well, we're here to talk about
mostly writing. We're authors,
mostly writing.
yeah,
Yeah.
editors,
Yes, writers and editors. That is true.
readers.
Readers. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Journalist. I'm not a journalist, really, but you are a journalist.
Yes, I
You're,
am.
you are a teacher of journalism.
Yes, I am. That was fun. I just did my first semester of teaching, and I get to do it again next fall. And I can't believe it happened. I can't believe it's happening. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and be fired. Um, but I really loved my first year, and at least some of my students loved it as well. So that was really a lot bigger experience than I expected. I don't know how else to express that, but it was very good, very good,
It
very
seems
good.
like such an important time now, today, to not only invest in youth, but especially invest in youth as it relates to journalism, because we've lost, if I don't have statistics in front of me, but if I'll look them up and I'll put them down below. But there are statistics about how many newspapers we've lost in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah,
Journalists, are no longer then working for those papers. So where are we getting our news? It's all been kind of
right.
aggregated. And so we've got a reduction in what we're actually, the actual news we're sharing. So many people are doing, getting news from podcasts, which, we are essentially going to be a YouTube type podcast. And getting news in that way is great. It's very specific, topic specific, but we lose something overall, I think, when we lose broader journalism. And so I'm proud of
Oh yeah.
grateful. I'm grateful for your teaching. I think it's so helpful and important.
Um, I don't know about how, and well, I mean, I just think I'm so happy they're coming. I'm so happy there's still kids enrolling in journalism. I can't even believe it, you know, because they know it's not gonna be the glamorous life. Like they know what they're getting into. Um, and so for kids to still be brave enough to do that, I think it's pretty amazing. Gen Z are some good kids, I think. I really do. Oh crap. I wanted to talk about something you said.
I will allow it.
You will allow it. Oh, I it scares me very much to see so many people thinking, like legitimately thinking that AI is going to be able to write news now that we've lost so many journalists. And I've seen people now they're saying, "Oh, well, and it'll be objective and truthful." And I am just so horrified that so many people actually seem to believe that because nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing.
It's about as confused as you can get.
Yes,
AI is not creative. It can only take from other places. And
that's
we already
right.
know that it's biased because we are biased. So where's it
Yes.
taking from and whose biases is being presented by that AI?
Well, and you were the one actually who pointed out to me, I didn't know this, that I mean, and now a lot more people have confirmed this, but it'll just make shit up. If it can't find a fact for you that you're asking for, it'll just pretend that that fact is real and make up articles or papers to support it. That it I'm just ugh.
Yeah, just the concept that the concept that it could replace any kind of writing, including journalism. is as ridiculous as the concept that it could replace art.
Absolutely.
Can
Absolutely.
it be a tool for an artist? Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Can it be a tool for a writer?
Hmm.
Yes. But can it
Hmm.
replace the author? Can it replace the writer? I mean, the sad part is that we have to have lawsuits like the SAG-AFTRA lawsuit to
Right.
prevent organizations from trying to do that.
Yep.
I'm going to take a photograph of you once, Amber, and then I'm going to use it again over and over and over again for the rest of ever.
Right.
And you're going to get paid here this one time, but I'm going to keep
Right.
your image and keep using it.
Right.
Or I'm going to steal your writing right from your website and start splattering it everywhere I want to, but I'm not going to pay you anything for that. I'm
That's
just
been
going
going on
to,
since the beginning of time, though. Business people, for some reason, don't believe that creativity should be paid for because they think it's not hard for us, I think, or they think it's fun for us. And so, therefore, we don't really need to be paid to do that. And they think that the business side that they do is the important side, which business is incredibly important. It's not that it isn't, it is. Um, but it just galls me because it's like you would have nothing to market without the artist. You would have nothing, and for you to try to cut the artist out is it's just insulting. I mean, it's so insulting.
it seems so stupid. It makes me think of the terms like, quote, end time capitalism, unquote.
Oh yeah.
If you look at previous times in history, I'm not saying that these were necessarily better for the artist because I don't really know, but there were patrons and
Yes.
buildings were art. Everything was covered with frescoes and I mean, now the investment in the artist and in the artistic work was immense, including in creating books and duplicating them. Then we got the printing press and things changed, but there was still there until recently. It seems there's been a recognition of the need for the artist and what the artist does.
You think?
I
I
think
think
so.
it's been better.
You got Art Deco even in the 50s. I mean, there's been times when we've had art as
Yes.
as
But
as
did the
as
artist get
respected.
paid?
Well, and that, yeah, that's where I don't have any statistics to know whether or not what the history of that shows.
It's like,
I
look at
don't
the
know.
music industry. I mean, how long have musicians been getting the shaft from
Right.
executives? Forever. That's been
Especially if
going
they're
on for,
musicians of color.
well, now it's everybody. It's still going on. I mean, Spotify and all that crap, you pay and we pay for Spotify, but which makes me feel terrible because it's exploited for the artist, but also for the customer, it's awesome. Like we pay one monthly fee and literally we have access to every recording you can think of. Old, new, I mean brand new, you know. And the artists are getting completely shut. It's why artists now are doing so much touring again. That's the only way they can make money. They don't make any money now from albums because there's no album to sell. It's just a
Right.
digital file.
And I can make a direct analogy with that and being an author today, because
Oh,
you
hell yeah.
can't sell a book on KDP for more than $9.99.
Right.
And the because of these industries, well, not just that one, but others, the price of books are artificially lowered. And if you sell them through these giant conglomerates, you're making pennies. The only way you
Right.
can make any money is to go out and sell it yourself. Find a way to go out and sell it on your own.
Yep.
It's a real similar thing, and it all seems to be very much related to um, just taking the greed part of it too far and exploiting people.
Yeah. You're
That's what
probably
it
right
feels like.
though. It's
It feels
probably
like exploiting.
worse right now just because we're in end stage capitalism. It seems so odd to say that and have it just be a fact. It's not something I ever thought I would say in my life.
I know that's why I had to use quotes. I like to use the term bottom feeders
Yeah.
because because I grew up with, fishing. I grew up fishing with people that fished, and, you know, we usually like to eat the fish that weren't bottom feeders because there's
Right.
crap in them sometimes. But the not that there's something wrong with the good fried catfish, just saying. But the critters that are bottom feeders that are down there getting their sustenance from the lowest, from the smallest, from the most helpless. That's
Hmm.
essentially what's going on in society is, like with the crash that happened in 2008, um, they were exploiting, people that were poor
Oh
people.
yeah.
They weren't
Hmm.
exploiting the super rich.
Nope.
So the exploitation has to do with bottom feeding in my mind. And same is going on with authors and musicians. So there's still the people that can make it to the top. There's still people that have these famous books and the famous music contracts, but they're so rare. It's like winning a lottery.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
as a matter of fact, you might have better luck winning the lottery.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, your odds might be better.
But, as an author myself and as somebody who reads authors, I do have to say I am addicted. I'm addicted to books. I'm addicted to reading. It's not something that I can go without. I couldn't just do, I mean, like after a while, my brain feels like mush if I just watch YouTube or just watch movies or something like that. I have to read.
Right.
And if I read longer fiction or nonfiction, um, then I feel like I've really, gotten some satisfaction.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
you know. I don't know that everybody reads anymore, but I do think that for those who do, it's not going to go away, and
No,
it's not ever going to be replaced with AI coming back full
no.
circle. It just can't be because AI isn't creative. Period.
Right.
It's just not possible at all. So now one tool that to AI I think can be good for is um, helping people improve some things. Grammar. People use Grammarly.
Sure.
That's AI. Um, but there's nothing like a human being who's reading it because it's the human being that can tell you when they got bored. I'm not
Right.
sure AI can do that, in
No.
literature even.
Oh no.
So, do you have advice as a human reader and editor and journalist? What do you have a piece of advice that you'd give? Maybe either what's a pet peeve or something you want to go yay to something along that nature. Sorry, my phone laughs at me.
Oh no, that's okay. Um, well, I mean, there's just a ton I could say, I guess. Um, I would say we were chatting a little bit about this earlier. A big pet peeve and something that looks amateurish is if you're switching tenses in a piece of writing. Um, I had a kid this semester in my writing class turn in a really great piece of writing, but he kept switching between present and past tense all the way through it, like every couple sentences, and I told him this is really good, but you got to pick a tense and go with it. Um,
Yeah, and I think that's challenging. That's been challenging for me personally to pick a tense, especially because there's places where rarely you do want to switch tenses. If
sure.
you're writing along in or sorry, in past tense, sometimes it's important to pull the reader right to the present and have a present tense, clause, paragraph even, but not much. But as you say, you
No,
go back and forth like much because that's just confusing.
yeah, no. In this case, it was definitely within the same scene. It was one scene with his mom in the kitchen. Uh, and he just kept switching between past tense and present tense. And I told him he needed to pick one. I kind of wanted to talk with him longer and tell him that if it were me in this piece of his, that I would personally pick present tense because even though it was a very detailed scene with his mom. I felt like if you put it in past tense, if you put, a little scene like that in past tense, then you're making it very concrete. You're saying this happened. This absolutely happened. I felt like he could put it in present tense because not only did it feel like an actual scene he'd had with his mother, it felt like a scene he'd had with his mother more than once. You know what I mean? Like the kind of dynamic that you have with somebody. And so I almost feel like he could have written it in present tense. Um, just because the feel is different, you know? Um, and that's going into it more.
Well, I think that that's really helpful advice, that makes a lot of sense, especially for shorter works.
Yeah.
I I have a pet peeve with people using present tense for a long work, for the whole
Uh-huh.
thing.
Yeah.
Though it has worked, there are authors, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are some works where it is present tense for an entire book.
Right. And
But that
that does not work very often
it
with
doesn't work
writing.
very often. It takes a very specific kind of
Right.
authorship and subject matter, I think, to pull that off. Um, but you know, uh, that's where getting editors' help is really necessary because there's not really a cookie cutter one size fits all.
No, not at all. Yeah, I think length of piece matters a lot. For a short piece, present tense can really bring a lot of suspense, I think, to a piece or um I don't know, other feelings. Because writing is about feelings. It's about connecting with other human beings. That's why it's important. That's why it's important, and that's why AI can't do it.
Why I can't
AI
do
cannot connect with other human beings because it's not a person.
it.
Like, this is not a difficult concept, people.
And never will be. Well, that's where we have a
No.
problem, confusion of, what is AI, and people are confused mostly because of all the hype. And if we can recognize that, yeah, the world changed because of the printing press, but there was printed words before then, and just because they were faster, it was still just printed words. I mean, it did change things. AI
Oh,
made
absolutely.
major change to things, but I don't think that there's any way it's going to ever replace human humans' ability to at creativity, whatever the creativity is.
No, not at all. I think what AI is going to do is confuse a lot of people. I think it's going to be responsible for a lot of misinformation, unfortunately. And honestly, I don't know why we're calling it AI. You saw me make this Facebook post, I think, where I said that, Spotify's AI DJ one morning was serving up uh songs to my husband and it put on a 10-hour recording of a box fan because he's listened to that when he's been out of town, so that was part of his set list. But it just goes to prove that AI cannot think because there's no way a human being would have that.
Oh
I
man,
would
that's proved to shh.
Yeah, 10 hours long.
That's
Oh,
just
excuse
hilarious.
me.
Yeah, it cracks me up. So now there are things, there's some pet peeves we've got. Obviously, there's some tense issues that become pet peeves, but there's stuff I really like about writing too. People's writing, specific authors' writing and authorship. And for me, one thing that I admire the most that I have not been able to figure out how to emulate, it's only an accident when I'm able to do it myself. But when I read it, when you read it, you know it, and you can do it, Amber Fraley. And that is write funny, write humor. Writing
Oh,
humor, I think, is harder than any other kind of writing. And authors that can make you laugh, boy, that's something that really deserves a good
that's true.
clap for me. I'm down with that.
That's true. I don't think I'm that good at it though. It's very nice of you to say that. I can write funny dialogue fairly easily. Writing funny, just prose, man, that's hard. That's really hard. I really admire people who can do that.
Well, I've been in audiences that cracked up listening to you read your work, so I know you can write plenty. I know this.
Well,
I've
yeah,
heard
but I don't know. Usually, though, when I write funny and it is prose, it's because I've seen something funny and I'm just repeating what I've seen or heard somebody else do that was funny. Um, I, the writers who can just make up pure funny, uh, I, that blows me away. Who was
it.
the guy that wrote for the Miami Herald forever? Oh God, I shouldn't do this when we're podcasting.
Oh, what is the guy's name? It might take us into another topic, though. Which are you going to read a little bit from your book?
Yes. Oh
No
my God, I'm
dying
so
on
sorry.
live podcast.
I know that my iced tea went down the wrong way. Um, yes, I did. God, I'm so sorry. And this is actually something I wrote that is funny prose. Something that I wrote that actually is funny. Um, and it's rare for me to do that, I think.
I think you're
So
good at it.
this is one little section from an essay called How to Win at Menopause. Take advantage of your invisibility. You should find that you now have the power of near invisibility. This is when you enter menopause. You may have felt this coming on in the last few years as fewer and fewer people acknowledge your presence. You'll find that gathering with your fellow menopausal friends will magnify this effect, rendering your group all but imperceivable to everyone. Feel free to go out in public and laugh, cackle, make plans to take over the world, whatever you want, in complete obscurity. Since no one can see you, be sure to wear what you want. Do your hair the way you want and wear your makeup the way you want, or don't wear any at all. I decided to color my hair purple a few years ago, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because it makes me happy and I no longer give a shit what anyone else thinks about my looks.
I love it. See, that's hilarious, and it makes me snap. It also makes me think about menopause, you know. Uh, and you like to write about things that are current and topical. You do a lot of short essays, and what I find interesting is, we're calling this dose of divergence. There are some topics that are really hard to write about. Menopause is one that in the past it wasn't even like allowed. I mean,
Yeah.
it was harder to write about menopause than about the big O,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
right? Menopause, ooh, freak out. So I think it's really cool that it's something that we can talk about now. You're brave enough to write about it. So there are brave, and you make it funny.
I
That's cool.
hope so.
That's cool. I really like that. And others do too. What is the name of your book? Let's get that out there too. I will put the information below about
Oh, okay.
Amber's collection of essays.
Oh, Lord. It's not
Stories
going
of
to show up.
menopause. Great.
It's, sorry. It's called Kansas Gen Existential. And that is because these are essays from my life, humorous and poignant. If you're familiar with David Sedaris's essays, they're kind of like that. And these are just experiences from being a Gen X or growing up in Kansas. But anybody who grew up in the Midwest will identify with some of what's in here. Just what it's like to grow up in a flyover state and be kind of isolated.
Well, I think any woman going through menopause can relate, and any men that know women that are dealing with this. Like, it's funny whether you're. I loved hearing the men laugh when you read some of this stuff too. It's just it's not exclusive, but
Yeah, no, there's definitely stuff in there for men as well.
this is a topic that's really important as a current event too. Um,
Menopause?
well, women's issues, and we've got a lot of menopausal women that are probably involved in that question that was out. You said was going around on YouTube. I can't speak now.
Oh yeah,
Would you
Facebook
rather run into a man or a bear?
in the woods, yes.
Yeah. So it kind of makes
And
me smile, makes me laugh.
so many women are saying bear in response to that question. And there are men who are getting very upset and insulted by that, like personally insulted.
Yeah, and I can see because a lot of men, especially men who follow traditional thinking, consider themselves the protector from the
Right.
bear, right?
Right.
So to say you'd rather run into the bear than the protector, I can see why some men would be like, "Whoa, that's kind of rude, lady." Um,
Yeah, yeah. I can see how if you didn't see the world that way, that would be a shock. Um, but what's frustrating are the stubborn ones who are just refusing to believe that that's true at all. And we were talking about this earlier, and actually, you and I had different answers. Because I said I have a tendency to pick bear, and you said you would pick man because you've run into a bear.
right. Yeah, I have been in the wild and walking in the woods alone, and there was a bear.
Where?
It was Tennessee.
Okay, so black bear.
Well, it was a brown bear.
Okay,
Um, I understand that the brown bears are the dangerous bears. It was luckily far enough away that I didn't get close enough to find out. Are you
sure.
are you black or brown? I mean, I'm not actually positive, but I think it was a brown bear, and I think it was a mom, and it was pretty big. And I'm walking along on the path, and it's weird because when you have circumstances that are get your adrenaline flowing really fast, it doesn't feel like your brain is working. It's somehow like your consciousness picks out a fact that you knew from somehow, from some way. And the
Uh,
only thing that I knew at that moment was I needed to go away at an angle. And I immediately, as soon as I saw the bear, I left the path and I walked at an angle away from the bear, not down the path. And I just kept going, but I did not run. Somebody
yeah, no, you
somewhere
don't
told
want
me
to
to do
run.
that, or I saw it in a TV show. I don't know what. I got out of the woods and I was a little angry at myself for not having signed in at the sign in place. Sign in, at the parking lot. They have the little thing they want you to sign in before you go off for a hike in the woods. And I did not do that. And afterwards, I'm driving away thinking, well, I wonder how long before somebody would have found my body.
I bet not that long.
Well,
Was
I
it a
was
national?
in the car and nobody knew I was there.
Was it a national park though?
It was.
Were you on the what's the big trail out there? The
No, it was,
Appalachian Trail.
yeah, it wasn't the Appalachian Trail. It was much less traveled. I saw no humans in this forest.
Oh, okay.
There was no human beings there, just the bear, just the bear. And I'll give one more example. I was up high on the Grand Mesa in Colorado, and I'd gone there. It was June. It was early June, June 6th. I remember it very clearly. And I was going to camp. I had a tent in my car. I was ready to camp. I was alone, and I'd camped alone before, but it was later in the season. In any case, I got up there and there was 6 feet of snow everywhere, and I decided I could not possibly camp because it was too darn cold. I'm not a snow camper, so I rented a cabin up on the Grand Mesa. They had a little area where you could rent cabins and put up your RVs and that sort of stuff. I rented a cabin, and the next day I got up and I went for a walk. They told me there was nobody renting any cabins. There was no campers there. There was nobody there. They told me there was one person who had checked in that was camping down on the mesa.
Oh
And
wow.
this is like a big mountainous area. I'm not sure. A mesa sounds flat. This is not flat. It's like being in a bowl surrounded by mountains. So I went for a walk the next day, and I'm walking in the beautiful sunshine, and I hear a hello. Somebody's waving at me. And I waved back, hello. And we started working our way towards each other. It took about an hour before we met.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. It's the Grand Mesa. You're in the big outdoors. So I was kind of up high. I could see him. He could see me. We could see each other as we walked towards each other. And when we got to each other, I saw it was a park ranger. And he said to me, "Do you have your mace?" Very serious. And I said, "No, but I have my whistle." And I was proud because I did actually have a whistle. Yeah, because there's bears. There are bears. So I had a whistle. And he scoffed at me angrily. And he said, "That will not do you any good." He said, "There was a man who was just mauled to death by a bear here on this mesa within the last few days." And I said, "What, did he have a ham sandwich in his pocket? What?" And he said, "There's been a drought. These bears are hungry. 6 feet of snow out there that isn't there normally. They came out of hibernation. They don't have anything to eat. They will attack you." So those two experiences, I didn't see a bear that trip. I was very glad to go back, enjoy a nice little fire. It was a long walk
Yeah.
where I'd gotten. He did not escort me back, but I will tell you, I would personally rather see that man who was a stranger than a bear. Yes, I freaking would.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Now, why would you say bear just so quickly?
Um, because I think that were I to see a bear, I just feel like it wouldn't be close. I feel like it'd probably be off at a distance. Um, I feel like it'd probably be black as opposed to brown. I just think you have a better chance of seeing a black bear. There are more. And brown bears, I believe, tend to be a little more elusive and hang out in less accessible places, but maybe I'm full of shit there. Um, because like in Colorado, the black bears will come down into neighborhoods, you know. Not that they're safe, they're not, but I've heard they're more chicken than brown bears. Now, polar bears, I've heard, will absolutely eat you, like no questions asked, you know. Like they have no qualms about eating a human being. They have no fear of humans whatsoever. And, you know, though human meat is not usually their favorite, I think they prefer seal. They have no qualms about eating a person. Ooh, you know what's cool? Well, it's not cool. It kind of sucks. Because of global warming, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off on this tangent. Because of global warming, and ice melt, grizzlies and polar bears are starting to meet more up north, and they actually diverged as a species during the last ice age because they got separated by ice, and they're really genetically still incredibly similar, which is why they can actually interbreed and have offspring, and that's starting to happen now because we're melting the ice and they're getting blonde bears up there.
Polar grizzlies.
Oh, yeah.
Not okay. No polar
No,
grizzlies. No, see, no, I'd rather have a man. Much rather have a man. No, I mean, I just think that your odds are better with a human man. Though there was a comedian, and I don't remember his name, and he had a a shtick, a story he told about walking down the street, and if he saw a white woman coming his direction, he would cross the street and go to the other side. There was nothing more frightening to him than a white woman.
black comedian.
Yes. And
Right.
the way he told it, it was funny. And I know the way I told it was not funny because I don't have that funny thing. But but he made it really funny. But it was funny because it was true that
Oh, yeah.
a woman could cause way more trouble to him than probably a bear.
That's true. That is true. That is absolutely true.
So, I think that there's what's funny in the man or bear thing is that there's a nugget of truth in the fact that there's an unpredictability in human male nature that
Yeah.
may lead, particularly women, but others, to be fearful. Um, but realistically speaking, I think if you actually took anybody and said, okay, behind door number one is a bear, and behind door number two is a man. Oh, but wait a minute, we're not sure if that's right. Go ahead, pick a door.
Well, yeah, in that case I would want man, but
Thank
I'm
you.
talking
See,
if
that's where
you're
we need to caveat.
right, if you're in the woods and you see at a distance, at some kind of distance, a man or a bear, then I feel like your odds are better because I think the bear is more likely to go away, honestly.
Well, and for me, what makes me afraid of seeing a man is not me seeing the man, but the man not seeing me. Does a man shoot in the woods? Sorry.
No, that's all right. No,
that
my
that
thought
might be
is,
humor.
if you run into a bear, you're gonna get, I mean, well, one of three things is gonna happen. They're gonna run, they're gonna maul you in some way, or they're gonna kill you. Um, with a
They didn't
man,
run. That when I saw that bear, it did not run.
right?
I
Fair.
left. I got the heck out of there. And I think that there's something instinctual that when you see a bear, whoever you are, whatever you say, you're actually going to leave as quickly as you
Oh
can.
yeah,
Yeah. Whereas with a man, there might be some circumstances, if it looks like Freddy Krueger, it might be more frightening than a bear. Yeah. I don't know.
right. But what are you gonna do? You're probably gonna go ahead and pass him on the path, right? If you're going opposite ways.
Does he have a gun?
You don't know. That's the thing. That was sort of the intriguing part of this thing too, is that there's no details given. So you don't know what kind of bear or what kind of band. You know,
I
just
think it's a
man or
good
bear.
writing prompt.
Yeah.
People could write on this topic and yeah, I think anybody wants to comment on this, I'd love to hear there's, it could be a fun, interesting anthology of a bunch of people writing about bear versus man.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe people are tired of I'm getting kind of tired of it. Everybody
I'm
seems
tired
to
of the whole
have
thing right now. Menopausal bear, that's different.
that is different.
Well, I think, we've talked about a lot of fun things, I think, on what we're calling a dose of divergence. And we've given a little bit of writing advice, and we've had an interview with a fantastic author, just a little bit of information about you, Amber Fraley. And we've talked a little bit about current events. So, anything else you want to touch on before we send this off to people and hopefully they'll enjoy it?
Um, yeah, try not to cough in the middle of a podcast.
Or if you do, really enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, you just gotta. Well, this was fun, and let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, look, I can make the wine glass sit on the counter.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Thank you, Amber.
All right, thanks.
We'll do it again.
Yes.
All right.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.